Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us. Unfortunately, Chair Timmerman cannot meet with us tonight, so as the Commission's Vice Chair, I'll be taking his place as the acting chair for tonight's meeting. And with that, I'm calling Monday, March 8th, 2021 Planning Commission meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. Tonight's Planning Commission meeting is being held virtually through Zoom due to the state of local emergency for the COVID-19 pandemic. Commission members and staff are participating in the meeting via video conference, as you can see. As the acting chair, I'll be leading the Planning Commission meeting, and the public is welcomed and encouraged to participate when invited throughout the meeting. As usual, tonight's meeting will be available for viewing on BCTV and on the city's website. If you're unable to participate this evening and would like to submit your public testimony, I encourage you to email the comments to city staff or mail your comments directly to City Hall. Members of the public may attend the meeting by joining via Zoom online. If attendees experience audio problems, we suggest you leave the meeting and then rejoin again. This has usually fixed the issue. Additional instructions on how to participate are posted online at the Burnsville website, which is burnsvillemn.gov, in the public meetings calendar. You may participate in the meeting tonight online by going to https, a secure website, //zoom.us/join and typing in webinar ID 946-4799-0628. Once you're logged in the meeting, please use the chat feature to tell the moderator which items you wish to speak to. You may also call into the meeting at 651-372-8299 and enter meeting ID 946-4799-0628. For each public hearing, I will open up a time when the callers may speak to that item, and I'll give more instructions when we come to that time. Your call will be muted until you're called to speak. And please note there might be a slight delay due to the differences in technology. Speaking by phone, please use your mute button on your computer or on the TV so we don't get any echo sounds coming from the delay. Again, all this information is available for you at the Burnsville website in the public meeting calendar. With that, we'll move on to the agenda. So the first item for the Planning Commission tonight is the adoption of said agenda. Do I have a motion? Looks like Commissioner Roberts has his hand up. Commissioner Roberts.
Yeah, I move to adopt the agenda.
And a second, Commissioner Henderson.
I will second that.
All right. Commissioner Roberts has moved and Commissioner Henderson has seconded, and I need a roll call.
Commissioner Anderson.
Aye.
Commissioner Awad.
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson.
Aye.
Commissioner John.
Aye.
Commissioner Roberts.
Aye.
Sounds like it approved unanimously. That's good news. So we'll move on to our minutes. The minutes from our previous meeting from February 22nd should have been included in your packet. Hopefully you all had a chance to take a look. Are there any changes from commission members on the meeting minutes? Any changes from staff?
No changes from staff.
With that, I would take a motion to accept the meeting minutes from the February 22nd meeting. Looks like Commissioner Awad's hands up.
I move that we approve the minutes from our last meeting.
And Commissioner Henderson?
I will second that.
Great. With that, any discussion? Seeing none, let's put it to a vote. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Anderson.
Aye.
Commissioner Awad.
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson.
Aye.
Commissioner John.
Aye.
Commissioner Roberts.
Aye.
Okay, good. We passed, and it's on to the third in our first meat portion of the agenda tonight. Looks like we have an application for Doug and Nancy Shellum for a conditional use permit to allow more than one detached accessory structure exceeding 500 square feet and 20 feet in height in the R1A zoning district located at 1208 Circle High Drive. Looks like Ms. Garros will be giving us the background on that. And the
Yes,
floor is
thank
yours.
you. The application is a public hearing. It's for a conditional use permit, and this item should look familiar to the commissioners. You actually reviewed a very similar application and recommended approval of this back in January. Since that item was approved by the council, the applicant was sent all of the legal documents and they took a look at it, or the property owner, I should say, and their site plan that they had submitted originally did not contain all of the buildings. So what we're here tonight for is to consider the revised plan, which is still a conditional use permit. We did need to republish and come back to Planning Commission and Council because they're requesting, the request is a little bit different in that there will be 2 detached accessory buildings remaining on the property as opposed to 1. And then also the same item that we looked at last time is the square footage of the proposed building is 720 square feet, and the maximum size is 500 square feet. And they are also looking to have a 23-foot tall detached accessory building, and the maximum height is 20 feet. So with the conditional use permit, they can have more than 1 detached accessory structure on the property. They can exceed the building area standard from 500 to the 720 square feet requested. And they can also have a taller building, 23 feet as opposed to 20 feet. Next slide, please. The subject site is in the R1A zoning district, which is our our rural residential zoning district. And typically the lots are larger than 2 acres. In this case, we have about 1.5 acres. So what happens is when you have, even if you're in the rural residential zone, if you have less than 2 acres, the same standards for detached buildings applies as if it would be in the R1 zoning district. So if this happened to be a 2-acre or larger lot, they wouldn't need any conditional use permits to do what they're doing. But unfortunately, it's a little bit less than 2 acres. So that's why they're in for this conditional use permit. Next slide, please. This is just the pictometry or aerial for reference for the commissioners and the public. The property is located off of Circle High Drive. It is a flag lot. They don't have frontage, if you will, on a public street, but there is a joint driveway access to the property. Next slide, please. This is the conditional use permit that the Planning Commission saw in January, and then the City Council also approved. It just shows that there is the existing house, which is on the left-hand part of the lot, where it says proposed garage. That's actually an existing garage, and they want that to continue to remain there. And then where they're proposing in red, kind of on the northeast part of the site, that is the proposed 24 by 30 square foot storage building or detached garage. Next slide, please. When we talked with the applicant, who's the contractor working on the project, and the homeowner had worked with them, they had submitted a memo, which was included in the packet, kind of describing what the situation was. And in fact, there is an existing building. It's a smaller shed, about 10 by 12, that is located just to the north of where they propose to construct the second detached structure. So the existing 10 by 12 shed is the one that's proposed to be removed, not the bigger garage that's already on the property. So next slide, please. And again, these are exactly the same plans that you saw at your January meeting. It's basically a 2-story garage. Next slide, please. And this shows the overall height and just the profile for the garage. Next slide. And the first and second floor plans. Garage on the bottom and then storage area on the second floor. Next slide, please. And with this, very similar to the last application that you saw, staff is recommending approval of the application as proposed. They do have, even though they don't have 2 acres or larger, they do have a large lot, and it is also wooded. And the proposal to have a second detached accessory building is still meeting the performance standards for conditional use permits. Not anticipated that this second garage and the bigger area and 3-foot taller building will have any negative impacts on adjacent properties. So staff is recommending approval, subject to the conditions that the smaller 10 by 12 shed be removed after the new building is constructed. And then also, this is the same condition as we had previously recommended, that a hard surface driveway be installed to access the new building from the existing driveway. And with that, I can stand for questions.
Thank you, Ms. Garros. Commission, any questions for Ms. Garros? Okay, I'm seeing none. So I'm going to move this over to the public hearing. I have it at 6:41 and I'll open the public hearing. It sounds like there's some people online. Not sure if anybody wants to speak to this. If you do, please let the moderator know you'd like to speak to this issue. Okay, well, I'm going to go with that. Nobody wants to speak to this. I'm not seeing anybody stating that anybody's looking to speak. So with that, at 6:42, I will close the public hearing and I will move it to the commissioners for discussion. Commissioners. And Commissioner Roberts, go ahead. But you have to unmute yourself first.
Yeah, and give me the 2 seconds to do that. Boy, you're harder than Robert. If nobody really has anything, because this is kind of the same as what we looked at, there's just one minor change, correct, Deb?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so if nobody has anything to add to this, I would like to propose a motion. You guys good? Okay. I propose that the Planning Commission recommend to the City Council approval of the CUP to allow the proposed 720 square foot accessory building to exceed the 500 square foot standard and exceed the 20-foot height standard, to allow the proposed 23-foot building and to allow 2 detached accessory buildings on the property subject to the following conditions. 1, the smaller one, the 10 by 12 shed shall be removed following construction of the new 24 by 30 storage shed / garage. And number 2, a hard surface driveway shall be installed to access the new building from the existing driveway.
Okay, Commissioner Roberts has made the motion. Do I have a second? Commissioner Anderson.
I second.
Commissioner Roberts moved. Commissioner Anderson seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, let's move this to a vote. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Anderson,
Aye.
Commissioner Awad,
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson,
Aye.
Commissioner John,
Aye.
Commissioner Roberts.
Aye.
And that does it. It sounds like this will move on to the City Council next. And we're all set to go.
Yes, this will be on the March 16th City Council meeting, and that is a Tuesday, and their meetings start at 5:30 p.m.
Perfect. Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Garros. So now we'll move on to the next piece of our agenda. This is an application for 3PC LLC. It's a conditional use permit to allow more than 50% metal exterior material on the building facade located at 12116 Riverwood Drive. It sounds like this is you again, Ms. Garros?
Yes, that's correct. Thank you.
All right, floor is yours.
This application is a conditional use permit again. The property is located in the I-1 Industrial Park District, and it is adjacent to the high school property, but it is zoned I-1. And within that district, the exterior materials standards allow up to 50% exterior materials to be metal. We did increase that a few years ago. I believe it used to be 10% and then increased it to 50% after kind of an extensive review of commercial industrial standards. So the applicant is proposing to reface their east front facade of the building, and they're requesting 59% metal exterior materials. And this is allowed as long as a conditional use permit is approved. Next slide. So you can see the site shows up on the pictometry, and the property directly to the west is the high school property. And then to the north and south, we have industrial buildings that are very similar in age and style and materials. And similarly, we've got I-1 industrial properties across the street to the east as well. Next slide. This is a photograph showing the existing exterior. The site where the building was constructed in 1969. It's on a little bit larger than an acre-sized lot. And what they have experienced over time is they are just having some issues with water. And I think just that the exterior materials have been in place since 1969. So it's just time to upgrade and modify and bring the building front to be a more contemporary type materials. So what the applicant is requesting is they are proposing actually 59% metal materials, but different types of metal. And then 25% of that front will have stone veneer, and 16% will be glass in the form of windows, and then also windows on each side of the entry doors. And this will be, the building will be just one owner and one tenant, if you will, within the building. Next slide. This is the building elevation, and it's only a partial part of the building, but it would continue on to the right to the end. So what they're showing is along the bottom or the base, and then around the main entry door, that's where they will have their stone veneer. And then in the middle part of the building, there will be metal panels that actually do have a shape to them, and we'll look at those in a moment. And then there's also going to be smooth face metal panels on the top band, if you will, of the facade. And then there will be metal cap material and metal accent, and you can see that dark gray metal accent above the main entrance door. There is one sign that's proposed to be put on the building, and the one condition that staff is recommending is that before putting signs on the building or the property, that they would need to obtain a sign permit from the city. Next slide. This is a board showing the exterior materials and the colors. That middle band is on the right-hand side, and it is the fasteners will not be visible. They will be hidden. And then the bottom band, and then along the two edges of the the south and north side of the front facade will have the stone veneer. And the top band is where I was talking about the smooth face, if you will, metal. It's a composite panel, a little bit different than the other middle band. And then they'll have a dark metal coping and trim color, and that's what's pointed to with the white arrow. Next slide. So with that, the recommendation from staff is that we feel that this is an improvement to the building. The other sides and rear of the building are just block that has been painted over the years, and that's a very similar construction that as other industrial buildings had at the same time and in the same location. We feel that the proposal is really a nice enhancement of the building and will help them not only keep the elements out, but also it will be a nice improvement for the building and also, I think, help the visual appearance of that area of the industrial park. So we are recommending approval subject to they would need a sign permit prior to installation of signs. And with that, I can stand for questions.
Thank you, Ms. Garros. Commissioners, any questions for Ms. Garros? I am not seeing any. We're a very quiet group tonight, and that's okay. It's okay, making it easy. We have people online. We're going to open it up for a public hearing. And at 6:50, I'll open up the public hearing, if I can get the words out right. If anybody wishes to speak to this issue, please use your comment in the Zoom to let the moderator know, and she'll let me know that you're looking to speak to this issue.
Thank you, Chair John. This is Jay with BCTV.
Yes, sir.
Could you, I just want to remind the call-in person to use *9 to raise their hand.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
*6 to mute, unmute, if they're interested in speaking. Thank you.
And I'll give them time to do that. It doesn't sound like anybody is joining us for this one. I will close the public hearing at 6:51. And I will move it to discussion. Commissioners, anything to discuss on this one? We're going to be shy. Oh, Commissioner Wad.
Thank you, Commissioner John. So, Ms. Garros, you said that recently the allowable surface area was increased from 10% metal to 50% metal.
Yes, that's correct. That probably occurred about 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay, I was gonna advocate, or, you know, why is it 50%? I'm a big fan of metal siding, and so this may be something to discuss outside of the meeting or in a work session, if that's something that maybe we want to think about changing in the future, because there's quite a variety of metal sidings, and a lot of them don't look like metal, and so somebody could put it on their building and it looks like wood, and so that was my comment.
There really has been kind of an explosion of really cool exterior materials, and a lot of them are metal and a lot different than, you know, the days of just the corrugated rusty rusty metal. So yes, that could be something definitely for us to take a look at and update the code.
Thank you.
Anyone else? I would just say that I remember a few years back when I was on the Economic Development Commission, we were looking to open up the area and clean it up or have it modernized. So I really in favor of them doing this whole remodel, make the area sort of a little bit more modern, and hopefully others will follow suit. Looks like Commissioner Wad, you have a question?
I would be prepared to make a motion if you're ready to entertain a motion. Are we at that point or not yet?
I believe we are. Go ahead.
Okay, so I will recommend to the City Council approval of the CUP to allow 59% as opposed to 50% metal exterior materials to be used to update the east front facade of the building at 12116 Riverwood Drive, subject to the following condition. A sign permit will be obtained from the city prior to the installation of signs on the exterior of the building and property.
Thank you, Commissioner Wad. Commissioner Wad removed. I have a second. Commissioner Anderson.
I second.
Good deal. So Commissioner Anderson seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, I will move it to a vote. Can I get a roll call, please?
Commissioner Anderson,
Aye.
Commissioner Awad,
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson,
Aye.
Commissioner John,
Aye.
Commissioner Roberts.
Aye.
With that, the motion passes. Great. And again, I'll move on to City Council next, which is for the Tuesday, meeting, which I believe was March the 12th,
16th.
16th, close, 5:30.
Thank
Then we'll
you.
move on to our next conditional use permit. It looks like there's an application for CenterPoint Energy for conditional use permit for an essential service structure to construct a new replacement regulator building to be located at the northeast corner of the Burnsville Center property, abutting Buck Hill Road and County Road 42. And this time I believe it's Ms. Madden. Ms. Madden, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, planning commissioners. As Commissioner John stated, so this next item is the land use application for conditional use permit for the CenterPoint Energy. Very similar to some of the past CUPs for these types of structures that you may have seen in the last year or two. So this would be for construction of an essential service structure, which would be that regulator building and some exterior piping equipment related to the use at the northeast corner of the Burnsville Center property. So next slide, please. So the Burnsville Center property is a large site. Their address is 801 County Road 42 West, but within that property on the northeast corner, there's an easement held by CenterPoint and an existing gas regulator building, a small structure to the side of the parking area. So the affected area of the work proposed is just shy of half an acre on that large 36-acre parcel owned by the mall entity. The property is zoned mixed use and is guided mixed use in the comprehensive plan. This is part of the overall, of course, Center Village area that was the first steps of it being re-guided to mixed use as part of the 2040 comprehensive plan update. So neighboring properties are also guided mixed. The properties to the north across 42 are proposed as mixed for the moment as the Center Village expansion area kind of undergoes their review process. And then the property is bound by County Road 42 to the north and Buck Hill Road and Interstate 35, W and 35 to the east. Next slide, please. So that request this evening is for a conditional use permit for that essential service structure for the station building, regular station building, and the exterior pipeline equipment. So as I stated before, there is an existing utility building on site within their easement, which is proposed to be relocated/replaced a few feet west of its current location. In order to complete this work, a portion of the Burnsville Center property that does contain some of those parking stalls, as well as the drive aisle, will be used as temporary construction staging area for the parking, and they will later be replaced. And then the drive aisle itself, a portion of the areas where the new station will be constructed, and so a new drive aisle will also be constructed as part of the work done. So as part of this, CenterPoint will be acquiring additional permanent easement for the new location. That process is still ongoing, and the city attorney has recommended a condition be added to the application that the title for that is demonstrated with the permanent easement. The applicant has been in contact with staff and process, again, it's ongoing, but will likely be within the next few weeks cemented. Next slide, please. So the proposed building is going to be constructed of a burnished concrete masonry unit. You'll frequently see that stated as CMU in our architectural materials and our ordinance and in our files that we send to applicants, with a standing seam metal roof to replace this older utility building. These are the materials that we've seen for other utility buildings by CenterPoint and other entities in the past few years. So this should look a little familiar to the commission. The proposed building itself is a utility structure. It's similar in size to a small garage, possibly a shed. The primary purpose is to house equipment, with the exception of the construction timeline and some periodic maintenance at the site. It's not going to be an occupied building due to those factors. The city's architectural tool is not applied to this building. And then that's similar to the process that the city has used with other structures by CenterPoint for their CUPs in the past. So the building itself is going to be proposed to be 672 square feet and about 14 feet in height. Next slide, please. As far as where the utility structure is to be located, it is set back about 16 feet from the entering drive aisle that's west of the proposed building to enter into that northern parking area, and about 46 feet set back from the joining property line with the property that's owned by the former Sears entity to the south. It's also set back about 58 feet from the Buck Hill Road Interstate 35 right of way to the east, and just shy of 200 feet to the County Road 42 right of way to the north. Once the new gas facilities are operational, the existing small utility building and the pedestrian path and stairs to it will be removed. And the new location for the regulator building, the exterior piping and equipment, and the small pedestrian pathway to reach the building for the workers will be within that new permanent easement owned by CenterPoint that they are acquiring. Next slide, please. So the proposed location is bordered to the north and to the east by existing trees and landscaping as part of the previous proposal when the original building was put in, and then slope, of course, a steep slope up to Buck Hill Road and up to County Road 42. So it is screened on those sides. It does face the drive aisle and is accessible to that parking area as it is a usable building, though not occupied. Because of the nature of the site and that it's a regulator station for underground natural gas utilities, trees cannot be planted too close to it where the root system would interfere with the utility itself. So while there are existing trees as part of the landscaping and the applicant is proposing an iron ornamental or decorative fence to surround the permanent pad where that outdoor piping will be located, there are still some screening that may or may not apply, which a condition has been added that a screening plan be provided at the time of building permit for staff to see that the applicant can demonstrate the way that the proposal does meet the screening ordinance as it is at the time that they apply. As you know, our city code is going through some changes at the moment. Next slide, please. So overall, staff is recommending approval of the application subject to the two conditions that were mentioned. The first, that the city attorney recommended that our city approval of the application and other permits related to it be conditioned on receiving the copy of the transfer of title of the easement that's being acquired, and that a screening plan indicating how it does meet the ordinance be provided at the time of permit application. This will be a public hearing this evening, and I do know that representatives of the applicant team are in the audience if they wish to speak or if the commission wishes to ask them questions. And then, of course, I'm available to answer anything if needed.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Madden. With that, does any commissioners have any questions for Ms. Madden? And I would, Commissioner Anderson.
Yes. First of all, thank you for that presentation. As always, you guys do a great job. One thing that kind of stuck out to me, and I was just kind of curious about it. You mentioned something about steel ornamental. I'm kind of curious what that would be or what that kind of looks like.
That's a good question. So the applicant does show on their construction plans that around that area where there's some exterior piping equipment, that there would be just an iron ornamental fence is labeled. So I don't have images of what that would look like, but the purpose of an ornamental fence is it's not a full like opaque or solid fence. It's a decorative style of fencing.
Okay.
Does that help answer to that question? I don't have images of it. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. Thank you very much.
And since the applicant is online, would they be able to join us? I have a question for them. It doesn't sound like they're,
So there
maybe not.
two members of the applicant team are in the audience. Wayne Sikora is the consultant that has been working with me, and TJ Hayter, who is raising his hand. So they should be able to speak momentarily.
I think we've toggled over. This is Wayne Sikora from ERM, representative with CenterPoint.
Thank you for joining us tonight.
We also have TJ is also available online too. And
Yeah, I apologize. My feed stopped and rejoined, so I'm sorry about that.
No worries, no worries. My question mainly is so how far down do we have to dig into the ground to work on these pipes? And are there any dangers that we should be aware of before we get started?
No, the typical cover for the buried natural gas pipe for these type of facilities, similar to the 2020 project, is the 36 to 48 inch, so 3 to 4 foot cover. The below ground pipe that runs along Buck Hill and enters the station area from the south is one of our 16 inch lines. It's 4 foot cover. Will come into the fenced area. All of the above ground features would be within the fencing or the proposed building. So just keep out of sight, protect the public, reduce or mitigate vandalism, items like that. Anytime anyone does any digging in the area within 50 feet of these pipelines, our watchdog program is triggered. So we'll have one of our representatives on site with any excavation that is going on in that area.
And what does the regulator station do? Do you have to increase pressure or?
It's a pressure reduction. So we push the higher pressure gas as far as we can to just get more pack and more volume. And then once we get to a certain point, it needs to be reduced to feed the auxiliary lines coming off of it. Sorry.
Sure, no, that's great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Commissioners, do you have any questions since we have the applicants online for the applicants? Okay, we'll see none, then I will move it to a public hearing. And I will open up the public hearing at 7:07 p.m. Looks like we have a couple of people on. If you are also online and want to speak to this, please let the moderator know by putting in the chat feature, or you can raise your hand using *9 to raise your hand, and then *6 will unmute or mute you. And it looks like I have somebody on the phone with their hand raised. Go ahead and please state your name and address for the record.
Hello, this is Kyle Brown with CenterPoint Energy. I apologize, I was not able to join by computer, so I don't have a comment or anything on what TJ has provided, but I was trying to unmute myself, and unfortunately I was a little late, but thank you.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for joining us today. Looks like we have another phone caller, or was that the phone call that we were speaking of? I got a text message saying there was a phone caller. I had a question.
I think, John, that was the one phone call, was the gentleman from CenterPoint.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. I don't see anybody else having their hand raised. With that, I will close the public hearing at 7:09 p.m. Then I'm going to hand it back to you, commissioners. Discussion? Again, we're being really shy. Okay. Commissioner Roberts.
Right on the head. If nobody really has anything, I think these guys kind of have a handle on how they work with gas. I'm not going to get into how they do it. I'm trusting everything they do, but it's nice to know that we're upgrading. If no one has any objection to this, I'd like to propose a motion. Okay.
Go ahead.
I move that we, the planning commission, recommend to the city council approval of a conditional use permit, the CUP, for an essential service structure to construct a new replacement regulatory building to be located at the northeast corner of Burnsville Center property, abutting Buck Hill Road and County Road 42 West, subject to the following conditions, which are 2 of them listed in the recommendation.
Okay, Commissioner Robert moves. I have a second. Commissioner Anderson.
I second.
Thank you, Commissioner Anderson. Robert moved, Commissioner Anderson second, and any room for discussion? Seeing none, let's move to a vote. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Anderson,
Aye.
Commissioner Awad,
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson, Commissioner John,
Aye.
Commissioner Roberts.
Aye.
Great, thank you. And that will move on to the next council meeting on the 16th, Tuesday, 16th at 5:30. And with that, we'll move to our next step of the agenda, and that's the 2021 Planning Commission Work Plan. Ms. Madden, looks like you have something to say about this.
Yes, thank you. So as you know, we're doing the Planning Commission work plan a little later than normal this year. There were some delays with the City Council's all-day work session, and that delayed our final approval of our 2021 work plan. So if you could go to the next slide, please. We have very little to talk about this evening related to your 2021 work plan. It does look the same as it did when Ms. Regina Dean, our Assistant Community Development Director, presented it to you with some kind of background information as to why it's a little smaller than normal this year back in December. Just to kind of repeat some of that information, the reason why the list is a little shorter for us in 2021 is because the final item on our work plan, the city code updates to Title 10 and 11, is actually very misleading and will take up a very large bulk of the commission's time over the course of the year and running into that first quarter of 2022, which it looks like we may have some typos in there, but I will fix that before City Council. So staff is still learning about the schedule for the city code updates and how that is going to impact both staff and the commission over the course of this year. So do stay tuned for some of those discussions. I can let you know that within the next month, you will be getting a large amount of new information about the city code updates. We're hoping that loosely planning that about one meeting a month, there will be at least something related to the city code update talked about at least one of the planning commission meetings per month. So that will be throughout 2021 and into the early part of 2022. So staff, of course, is always recommending approval of our 2021 Planning Commission work plan. This will be presented at the March 16th City Council meeting by the chair to the City Council with staff there as backup. So we are just looking from the commission a recommendation of approval to send for that final vote to present at the City Council next week.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Madden. Commissioners, do you have anything to add or discussion on this topic? I feel like I'm being hazed today. No discussion. I believe we do need to make a motion, though, to move this forward, as this would be our Planning Commission work plan. I'd be willing to take a motion. Commissioner Awad.
I'm going to withdraw and allow Commissioner Anderson to go first.
I'll give the floor to Commissioner Anderson. Commissioner Anderson.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the planning commission's, and it just disappeared from the screen what I was about to say. To approve the planning commission's plan for There we go. 2021 Planning Commission's work plan discussion, I guess.
That's why he's an alternate.
Thank you very much. I hang my head in shame.
Thank you, Commissioner Anderson. Commissioner Anderson moves to accept the work plan. Do I have a second? Commissioner Wad.
I will second the motion, and I apologize, Commissioner Anderson, for putting you on the spot, but I wanted to get you on the board. So yes, I second the motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Wad. So Commissioner Anderson moved, Commissioner Wad second. Do I have any discussion before we move to a vote? Seeing none, let's go to a vote. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Anderson,
Aye.
Commissioner Awad,
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson,
Aye.
Commissioner John,
Aye.
Commissioner Roberts.
Aye.
Sounds like it has passed. So let's move on to, it looks like Chair Timmerman will be presenting this at our September 16th meeting September, holy cow. At the March 16th meeting, is that correct?
That is
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, we'll keep it this month this time. All right, and that'll be at 5:30 again. Moving on to updates. Commissioners, do you have any updates? No updates from commissioners. Staff, any updates?
We do have a couple. Some of these you already probably know about, but we'll just bring them up again. We do have the mayor's State of the City address at the Ames Center, which will be on March 17th at 4 o'clock. And we do have a sign up on the website that you can contact, I believe, the city clerk and sign up for that. It will actually be in person, so there'll be actual people there spread out and distance accordingly, but to let you know of that. We also have, last year we started a quarterly check-in with the city council liaison. And for the first quarter, because we're coming up kind of to the end of that, the new liaison this year is Councilmember Schultz. And if the Planning Commission, if you would like to have a meeting with her, we can look to set one up either at the next meeting or their first meeting in April, if that's something that you would like to do at this point.
Commissioners, any opinion on this? Commissioner Roberts.
Does that have to be something that's recorded and over the TV, or is that something we can do just before our original meeting, our regular meeting? If we just want to introduce ourselves and say hi and see who it is, and if we don't have anything pertaining, but we just want to be cordial.
I believe that because it involves, city representatives.
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, that we actually have to open that up.
Okay, I guess I would leave it up to everyone else, as if we want to actually have them take the time to come on and say hi, or should we wait until we actually have something we need to talk about? What do you guys think?
Commissioner Wad.
I agree with Bud.
Okay, I think I agree with that as well.
Let you know that we do have more regular items on that meeting, so it will be a public hearing related meeting again. And I encourage you to attend the ULI events because they're usually very good.
Good deal. Thank you so much for the updates.
Chris?
Yes, Commissioner Roberts.
Sorry to interrupt while you guys are saying that. Hey, Deb and Sarah, do you have an indication, and maybe you don't, but in regards to just planning on our end, in regards to how long we'll be virtually doing meetings, possibly compared to coming back and doing what we did before, spread out in tables, things like that? If you don't have that in front of you, that's fine, but I just question.
That's a great question. We do not have that information. It's possible actually that if BCTV knows, because maybe they know while we do not, but Deb and I do not have that. We have not been given a timeline for that information.
Nor have we at BCTV.
Let me open. Any other questions for the staff, commissioners? Well, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Commissioner Anderson,
I move that we adjourn.
very nice. Commissioner Awad,
I second the motion.
complete with visual. Commissioner Anderson moves, Commissioner Awad seconds that we adjourn, and I will look for a roll.
All right, Commissioner Anderson,
Aye.
Commissioner Awad,
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson, Commissioner John,
Aye.
Commissioner Roberts.
Aye.
Did I give everyone? Mine skipped out a little.
I believe you did.
Oh, okay,
That was
sorry.
an aye. That was an aye.
All right.
I think Commissioner Roberts was, okay. With that, we will close out at 7:22 p.m. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight.